It's getting hot as hell in here. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today, we're counting down our picks for the top 10 most confrontational Hell's Kitchen moments. For this list, we're looking at the loudest, fiercest, and most explosive confrontations from Hell's Kitchen. These don't necessarily need to involve Gordon Ramsay. As long as it's a confrontation between the show's participants, it will be included. Number 10. The Quail. Gordon Ramsay really does come up with the best insults. Who else would think to call someone an effing quail?
Is it cooked?
Rare at best.
I asked for medium, and that's rare completely.
By this point, customers should know not to confront Ramsay about the food, especially when he's in the middle of a stressful night of overseeing the kitchen. This particular customer approaches Ramsay about his piece of meat, calling it rare and low-grade dog food at best.
Who is this man throwing food on the whole plate? What's the matter? Well, talk to me. Look at me. Look, excuse me. Hey. Don't come in here acting like jumped up like some little gym bunny.
Ramsay proceeds to insult his knowledge of food, swears at him multiple times, and ends the argument by saying that he looks like a f***ing quail.
Push your arms out. You look like a quail.
And with that, the customer walked back to his table with his tail between his legs. The unfortunate victim of the insult Shakespeare. Number 9. Jeff insults Ramsay and storms off.
What are you doing then if he's doing that for you?
He jumped in ahead of me. I was working on it. He pushed me aside to help me. I'm working.
Has Ramsay met his match in Jeff? No, not really, but he gives him a good fight. The argument begins normally enough, with Ramsay insulting Jeff's food output and lambasting him for not cooking a good lamb. After some sulking on Jeff's part, he proceeds to call Ramsay an epithet under his breath.
You're an asshole. What was that?
Unfortunately, this slight was caught by a fellow chef who proceeds to bring it to the kitchen's attention. Jeff repeats his insult to Ramsay's face before throwing off his whites and storming out of the kitchen.
You're an asshole.
All this about, 30 seconds after saying that he wasn't a quitter.
Jeff will not be returning to Hell's Kitchen.
Number 8. Bryant fails to keep his cool. Losing service is a bummer, and it can result in some heated emotions. But Bryant's emotions get really heated. While discussing elimination, Bryant and Aaron get into a vicious argument, which includes Aaron slamming his hands on the table and screaming at Bryant until he goes red in the face. Bryant also speaks out a few really cringy bits of dialogue, including "I'm dominant more than you," "That's what's up, bro," and "Everyone knows how the f*** I roll, man." And all that immediately after saying that he was talking to Aaron like a grown man. It's really embarrassing stuff, and it makes him come across like a petulant child.
Besides you.
Number 7. The brunch debacle.
I'm not interested in a nomination. I want an explanation.
Sometimes the service is just so poor that Ramsay doesn't even know what to do. That's the case here when both teams are named joint losers and told to F off and explain what happened. This results in some heated deliberations. On the blue team side, Frank gets into it with Jared and Manda over some raw chicken and French toast.
I wasn't the one sending up raw chickens, buddy. You did. End of story.
The red team is in a similar argument, as Chad is attacked for his poor French toast, Ariel criticized for forgetting quail eggs, and Jackie insulted for her chicken.
I thought if you had made a mistake, you would have spoken up and said, "That's my fault."
It's just one of those times when nothing goes right and no one in particular is to blame for a poor performance. Sometimes everybody sucks. Number 6. Liquid mashed potatoes. During a dinner service in season 7, Ramsay notices a batch of mashed potatoes are particularly runny. No, that's being kind. These potatoes are pure liquid.
There you go. There's our mashed potato.
It's enough to make you gag. Contestant Andrew Forster then makes the unfortunate decision to add the runny potatoes to a fresh batch, and Ramsay tells him that it won't make a difference. Andrew then has the gall to claim that that isn't true.
You think this is funny, don't you?
Gordon proceeds to kick Andrew out of the kitchen and calls him a joke to the industry. This resulted in Andrew walking out of Hell's Kitchen and quitting the show, making him another contestant to quit during service, following our old friend Jeff.
You're a f***ing joke to the industry. Yeah, that's what you are.
Number 5. Whole or diced.
Where's the pumpkin?
I don't see any pumpkin.
Seems to be a problem here.
There's no pumpkin.
There's like these little
There's no
pins.
pumpkin.
I don't want it.
You don't want it. Well, you finished it almost.
Service, please.
If you think Ramsay calling someone a quail was hilarious, you haven't seen anything yet. This customer complains that there is no pumpkin in his risotto and storms up to the kitchen to give Ramsay a piece of his mind. That is not a smart move.
Want spaghetti, want risotto? Yes? Oh, are you always going to be that rude and interrupt when I'm trying to talk?
I just want more pumpkin, that's all I want.
Right.
Ramsay proceeds to give him one of the most vicious comebacks in Hell's Kitchen history, telling him that he will ram the pumpkin up his, well, you know the rest. He caps the insult by asking the customer if he'd like it whole or diced.
Would you like it whole or diced? Can we get security and get Knob back to the seat, please, yeah?
This is certainly pushing the limits of hilarious insult and veering into legitimately scary threat. But then again, that's precisely what makes Gordon Ramsay such an intriguing reality show host. Number 4. Ramsay tells everyone to get out. Oh, Gordon Ramsay has his limits, all right, and those limits were met in season 4.
Look at the colour of it. Well, I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question, what is it? It's overcooked.
Most of his issues stem from contestant Matt, who claimed to be working through a migraine. Ramsay has no empathy and gets so fed up with Matt's supposed excuses that he dramatically kicks Matt out of the kitchen and calls him a f***ing useless piece of shit. Don't mince your words there, Gordon.
Go upstairs to the dorm and lie down, yes? Lie down.
I want to work through it.
Get out!
After Matt goes to lie down, Christina notices that Jen had left rice on the stove and ruined the batch. Gordon then proceeds to kick them both out of the kitchen. Jen for burning the rice and Christina for standing next to it for an hour without noticing.
Get out and get to the dorm. Get out!
This proves all too much, and Ramsay eventually yells at everyone to get out of the kitchen. Number 3. Siobhan is a donkey.
There are some on here that were fine, Chef.
So, where's the fine ones then?
They're right over in
Where
here.
are they? Where are they?
Nilka is right. Don't talk back to Ramsay because he's only going to dig deeper. Unfortunately, Siobhan learns that the hard way. Siobhan thinks that her scallops are golden brown, when in actuality they are burnt and ruined. Gordon asks her to point out the golden brown ones, and when she does, he retorts by calling them unseasoned and boiled.
They're boiled, you donkey!
He proceeds to call her a donkey, kicks her out of the kitchen, and orders her to eat the ruined scallops in the dining room, as if being called a donkey wasn't punishment enough. Unfortunately, this was pretty much the last straw for Siobhan, and she was eliminated from the competition. Number 2. Gordon versus Giovanni.
Your special has now become not very special, thanks to Dick Face there.
This argument between Gordon and Giovanni is legendary, and it's probably the angriest we've ever seen Mr. Ramsay. After Giovanni puts out some subpar chicken, Ramsay calls him a dick face. It's not the nicest thing he's ever said, and Giovanni defends himself against the personal attack.
Yeah, but I'm not dick face, Chef.
Yeah, say that again?
After he speaks back, Ramsay approaches Giovanni and absolutely explodes in anger, screaming at the top of his voice and repeatedly lunging towards Giovanni's face.
Donkey!
No. Boy, oh boy.
And yes, we get another classic donkey insult, only this one is said with much more fervor. This heated argument proved to be a big part of Giovanni's downfall, and he was eliminated. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The epic Joseph fight.
Who's the first nominee for the men?
They can speak for themselves, but they know who they are.
Hey, smartass, I asked you to tell me.
While the Ramsay and Giovanni fight is loud and fierce, this is by far the scariest and most confrontational. It all begins when contestant Joseph repeatedly fails to properly answer Ramsay's commands, whatever his motivation.
I ain't no bitch.
After some choice words, Joseph proudly declares that he isn't a bitch and rudely tells other contestants to shut their mouths when they fight back. He proceeds to tear off his whites and approach Ramsay in a threatening manner while challenging him to a fight in the parking lot.
Do you think I'm scared? Huh? Look at you.
Yeah, keep
You just blow your... Yeah.
Rather than responding physically, Gordon fiercely but calmly orders him to leave. He does and trips over a step in the process.
Watch the step.
Yeah, watch the step, bitch.
It all makes for one of, if not the most shocking exit in Hell's Kitchen history.
Without skipping a beat, go back home, I'll work. Anybody would hire me to work in their kitchen, and they'd be proud to have me there.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.